15 years, 166 race starts, 5 separate seasons finishing runner-up, agonizingly close, watching someone else lift the trophy he'd wanted since he was a boy pushing an old Opel Corsa around the streets of a small Belgian town with barely €250 left to his name. Thierry Neuville waited longer than any driver in the entire history of the World Rally Championship to become champion. 5,533 days between his very first WRC start and the moment he finally got to call himself the best in the world. Longer than Colin McRae, longer than Carlos Sainz, longer than legends who are remembered as some of the greatest to ever sit behind a wheel. And it wasn't for lack of talent. From his earliest years in the sport, Neuville was unmistakably one of the fastest drivers on the planet. In 2014, stranded with a cracked radiator at Rally Mexico, his team improvised with the only liquid they had on hand, a bottle of Corona poured straight into the engine to limp the car home for a podium finish. In Croatia, 2022, when his car gave out just short of the finish, Neuville and his co-driver simply got out and pushed it 800 meters by hand to make the checkpoint in time. That's who this man is. Not a driver who waits for luck to arrive, a driver who drags results out of situations that have no business producing one. But talent alone kept betraying him at the worst possible moments. In 2016, a fuel calculation error left him stranded on the stage in Portugal, championship gone. In 2017, back-to-back mechanical failures wiped out points he desperately needed. In 2018, a single puncture on the final rally of the year ended his title bid in an instant. Runner-up in 2016, runner-up in 2017, runner-up in 2018, runner-up in 2019. 4 consecutive seasons, each one a heartbreak with a different name. By the time 2024 arrived, Neuville was 36 years old, and the sport had quietly started writing his story as a cautionary tale. The brilliant driver who would retire without ever touching the one prize that mattered. Then something clicked. He won the season opener at Monte Carlo and never let go of the championship lead for the rest of the year. He carried a 25-point advantage into the final round in Japan, needing just 6 points to finally end the wait. And of course, because this is Thierry Neuville, it couldn't be simple. A turbo failure on the opening morning buried him down in 15th place, over 7 minutes off the pace, his dream apparently unraveling one more time in the cruelest way imaginable. He didn't fold. He clawed his way back to 6th by Saturday night. And on the final day, as he held his breath through the last stages, his own teammate and closest rival Ott Tänak crashed out of the lead. 15 years of runner-up finishes, mechanical disasters, and split-second heartbreaks ended not with a dominant victory lap, but with a quiet phone call telling him it was finally over. "It's a reward for years of fighting and never giving up," he said afterward, barely able to find the words. Belgium's first ever World Rally Champion, Hyundai's first driver's title after a decade of trying. You would think a story like that gets to end there, on the highest possible note. But rallying doesn't work that way, and neither does Neuville's career. The 2025 season that followed was a difficult one, a 5th place finish overall, before he rediscovered his form with a dominant win in the desert at Rally Saudi Arabia to close out the year. A signal he hoped of what 2026 could bring, but 2026 has already tested him in ways that feel painfully familiar. In Croatia, leading by over a minute with the win practically in his hands, Neuville struck a concrete block on the very last stage and watched the entire result disintegrate in seconds. In Greece, dominating the brutal Acropolis rally for days, a double puncture on the penultimate stage tore the victory away just when it seemed certain. 2 more gut punches in a career that has already delivered more of them than any driver in the sport's history. And yet, this is exactly the pattern that has defined Thierry Neuville from the very beginning. Not the absence of heartbreak, but what he does after it arrives. 15 years to get there once. Now fighting to prove it wasn't a single moment of magic, but the mark of a driver who simply refuses to stay down, no matter how many times this sport finds new ways to break his heart. Some champions are remembered for how easily greatness came to them. Thierry Neuville will be remembered for how long he was willing to wait for it, and for never once letting the wait convince him it wasn't coming. Do you think Neuville can fight back and add a second title to his name in 2026? Let me know in the comments and subscribe, because this story is far from finished.